Tonight, we are closing down with Amanda from Rwanda with an agenda. With an agenda. An agenda to do what? To help us, rise from our mistakes. Like I told you guys, I've made expensive mistakes. And sometimes my father has also told me, you've made expensive mistakes. But like Pumla, I've believed that my mistakes shall be my rising ground. So if you're there and you've made expensive mistakes like me, relax. Let's listen to Amanda from Rwanda with an agenda to help us learn how we can actually convert those mistakes into stepping stones to get us to our next level. I'll ask Emma to send me Amanda's profile. Let's get to know who Amanda from Rwanda is, from the land of the beautiful hills. The people from West Africa, I'm not just talking about East Africa because I want you to come. It's a beautiful place. Come to Rwanda. If you've not seen beautiful hills, you will see some very beautiful hills, a clean city, a nice place to be. Noella, don't worry. Sandra, you'll have an opportunity to tell me what I should look forward to in Nigeria. But right now, because I am the moderator from East Africa, I will tell you about East Africa so that you guys can have a great time with us. So who is our next guest speaker? Amanda Mihigo is the co-founder of the Inner Hub, where she leads with passion to unlock individuals' potential. She also serves as the country coordinator for the Beyond Success program, impacting thousands in Rwanda and around the world, with a background in healthcare and commitment to community transformation. Amanda is a compassionate leader, inspiring others to blossom into their best self. So if you have not been blossoming, stay with me for the last 20 minutes. Let's see how you can blossom from your mistakes. Amanda, you're warmly welcome to give us our last presentation of today. Before Amanda comes, just in case you're planning to go away, please don't go away. Tomorrow, we continue at the same time, 8 p.m. East African time. Now that we have crushed this, tomorrow we start building businesses, irresistible businesses. Working on yourself is part one. Building is the second part. Tomorrow, we shall start building. Amanda, over to you to take us through building from our mistakes.
Thank you very much. Unless someone has not made a mistake, then please don't leave, because this is cross-cutting for everyone. I won't even ask who made a mistake here. Everyone has. And thank you for the warm welcome, Lydia. Thank you to the speakers, Lydia and Pumla. That was powerful. Thank you very much to Noella for this beautiful vision she has that we are all finding ourselves in. And thank you especially to everyone who is here. We are now 92, and the ones on YouTube who are choosing to invest in themselves at a time like this. What a beautiful time to be in. I would like to share my screen. Please give me the permission. Perfect. Yes, so we're going to be building from our mistakes, but since I'll be talking about my mistakes, feel free to laugh at some of the mistakes that I've made, but especially learn from the ones that are significant. And let's build so that we can break the limits and become our best versions. I am Amanda from Rwanda, and I am a believer. So when Pumla said about how we identify, I was like, should I change the way I identify myself? But this is what I love. I am a believer. This is really who I am. And I am a wife, and I am a mother, and I do this at Beyond Success, where we lead people towards successful lives and become more significant. At Inner Hub, we also help people to be highly competent and be character driven. But at the core of my heart, what I really love is to blossom. Now, before I forget, I have to say that when Lydia put up the lyrics to that song, it's what really was going on in my head of I have to get over myself so that I can be able to give myself to you. It's a beautiful song that, well, if you are participative enough, then I can sing it for you. Hello. So let us blossom. And I think the theme of today is going to be about breathing and building. Now you can say that I've been breathing for 30, 40 years of my life. What are you talking about, Amanda, by saying we breathe and we build? We are building from our mistakes, but there is something that has to happen. So, for example, I was learning how to drive and I got my husband's car. It was raining, it was slippery, and then as I was driving as a newbie, I climbed a cliff. So I nearly crashed us into death. I froze on the steering wheel. I'm like, I am going to kill my family because I'm a newbie. So I shook, he ran out to see the damage that I had caused, typical female thing. And then as he was outside, I started breathing. I'm like, so first of all, the first instinct was, I need to get out, I need to let him drive. But then I breathed. I'm like, I got this. I collected my mind. I breathed in. By the time he came back, he was like, do you want me to drive? I'm like, no. I knew the risk ahead was even much, much greater than where we were because it was raining, it was slippery, it was a very bad road. I was like, I got this. In my heart, I didn't got anything. But I told him, I got this, boy, let's go. Then we went, well, since I'm here, it is a good proof that I didn't crash us into death. But this is the power of breathing. Now, all of us in the comfort of your home, in your car, at the office, wherever you are, you're going to work with me in this exercise. We are going to breathe. Okay, we are going to breathe, but it's going to be a deep breath. So at the sound, you're going to breathe in, and at the sound, you're going to breathe out. We're going to do it 3 times. Please do it. Don't just hide behind the camera. Do it. Please breathe. Now, let's go. We begin. At the sound, we shall breathe in and we shall breathe out. As you breathe in, visualize that you're breathing in new beginning, new air, positivity, and then breathe out the negative energy. All right, now let us breathe. Perfect, perfect. I hope we are feeling much more relaxed. It has been quite a day and we're learning a lot. And thank you, ladies. And now this is going to put us in a relaxed mood because mistakes can be stressing, can't they? Speaking of mistakes, let me tell you how now I got a driving license after I tried to crash or sell my husband into oblivion. One of the hardest things, every Rwandan on the call can testify to this. One of the hardest things is to get a driving license in Rwanda. Now, because I had been driving, I had been practicing, I wasn't really that afraid. I had been on the road before, so it wasn't much of a big deal. So I thought if these people, there's some really bad drivers I would see, and I'm like, if he can get a driving license, most definitely, I can get a driving license. So I go, and 75% of the exam was mwah, so smooth, so beautiful, until I decide to fail. How do I decide to fail? I decide to cheat. How do I decide to cheat? By leaving handbrake in because I panicked. I felt like, this is not going to work out because I was not that confident after all. And then I cheated and then I failed miserably and then it crushed me. I am usually so hard on myself. Number one, I had gone from my values and tried to cheat. There is that. Number two, I had failed. Something I was like, yeah, this is so easy, you people. I failed. So I tried blaming everyone, but I got over it eventually. And then I did go to try the second time. Guess what? I didn't qualify. I went there the third time. Guess what? I failed. I'm like, hey, the village people, they're with me on this one, and I don't want them. I went home, but now I was like a mad person. So I go home, I tell my husband, you know what, I failed. He's like, I told him I failed, but this time it's not that I'm sad and now I'm going to cry and be in the bed. It's no, 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 no. Yes, I was sad humanly, but then he noticed and he told me that maybe it's not just about the mistake you made and now you didn't get the license. Maybe it's because you're becoming a better person. There is that now fierceness. It's like either you're running mad or this is a good thing. There is something happening within you that I like. So maybe it's not just about the driving license. And then I was like, well, I'm going the fourth time. I don't care if I have to go 10 more times. I have to get this thing. And well, good thing the fourth time I got it. But these are the lessons that I learned. The obvious one, do not cheat. People do not cheat. It doesn't pay off. Number two, don't be afraid to speak up. The reason I failed the first time, I was so afraid to speak up. And then the risk that I was seeing, so I failed. Reason number three, which is the most important one, is that a failure is not my identity. I am not determined by the failures or the mistakes that I have made. Number four is that it only ends when I win. Until I win, that determination is what will make us push through the mistakes that we have made. And number five is that a good attitude really does pay off. Fun fact, the person that my instructor in the previous test was again my instructor, and I told him, do you remember me? Do you remember how you were in the mood and made me fail? Well, I'm back. Well, a good attitude and a little bit of humor does pay off. But I want to echo what my husband, David Serundod, is speaking of Ugandan husbands. I have a Ugandan husband. Thank you, Uganda Wanange. Thank you for giving us lovers. So, anyways,
Ugandans, let us celebrate ourselves in the comment section, small, small.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Progressing
me.
to Rwanda and Kenya.
Absolutely. So he said that who I am becoming is much more valuable than the achievement itself, which I think is most important because show me the person that is making mistakes and I'll show you someone who's trying to do something out of their comfort zone. And we know that's where the growth happens. We know that's where the magic happens. Of course, we are going to do mistakes. Some are expensive, like Lydia said, some are just normal that we can easily get over. But I'm talking specifically about those mistakes that are soul crushing, that have dire consequences. In my case, it is an expensive journey. It wasn't that expensive, but I mean, it was a lot of money that was going on 4 tries. Hello. So the person that never makes a mistake is a person who has never tried doing anything. If you're trying to break your limits, most definitely they're going to be mistakes happen. But that's not the point because who we are becoming holds much more value than the achievement itself. It's all about who we become. Now, research says that us women, especially, we are emotional beings. That we don't need a lot of studies to know that. But it also reflects on how we react when we encounter challenges, like when we do the mistakes, we internalize it. And then we go through an array of emotions, which is what I like to call the emotional ride. So when we dare to try, I'll use myself as the case in point, and we're going to learn from my mistakes. Now, I went the first time I was uninformed, I was optimistic. I'm like, hello, it's Amanda. I got this. I've been driving for way too long. I can't miss out. I was uninformed, very optimistic, but I failed. When I failed, now I've experienced the thing. Now I'm pessimistic. I'm like, oh, these people unfair. Sometimes they're in the mood. Da, 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 the cars are old. So now I'm pessimistic. And then by the third time, I hit the valley of hopelessness or despair where I'm like, will I ever get this thing? Is there some demonic activity? I don't. Now, usually this is where we tend to quit when we have hit rock bottom or the bottom of the rock. It can be in business. When you've started off a business, you've invested your life in it. You start off, you're like, I know this is a sure deal. This is going to happen just like that. And then you meet a bit of obstacles. Now you're pessimistic. And then you hit the hugest of all, which throws you into the valley of despair. Now, this is the restart button. Usually you're like, okay, I sold milk, it didn't work. I think it's because in our family we don't have cows. Let me try selling shoes. You go to shoes, you start off uninformed, informed, then hopeless. So it is that cycle until we decide to push through. We decide to embrace that pain and push through so that we can reach the stage of informed optimism. Now I know you shouldn't cheat. Now I know you shouldn't do ABC. Now when you push through, when you allow yourself to digest that pain, that embarrassment from the mistakes, then can we attain success and fulfillment. There is a famous proverb, that analogy, that says that when stones are thrown at you, don't throw them back. Use them to build an empire. Allow me to restate this in my own words. The thing about empires is that usually people will hide behind them. But when we do make mistakes, I want to challenge us to say that when mistakes befall upon us, don't throw them, don't misuse your mistakes, don't sometimes they're too expensive. At least if we are going to lose, let us lose while we're profiting from them through the lessons. So if when mistakes befall upon us, don't throw them away. Use them to build a platform where you're going to stand tall and shine, not just for yourself, by the way. I like something that I saw in the comment that when you're better, you're better, then you're better for us. When the leader gets better, everyone around them gets better. So when we do make mistakes, and we shall make them, some big, some small, I'm talking about especially the big ones, they're the ones that crush us. When we do make mistakes, it is very important that we don't throw them away, but we use them as stepping stones to build an even taller platform where we don't hide behind the empire wall, but a platform where we will show that it can be done, it can be achieved for ourselves and the people around us. I need us to do a small personal reflection. Let us think about the time we made a significant mistake. Lydia, I want to see you think, because you said you made a lot of expensive ones. How did we use them? Feel free to share the experience in the chat. I'd like to see it right after this. If you made a big mistake, how did you use it? Did you use it as a wall, just like we saw, as a wall to hide behind? Or did you use it as a platform, a stepping stone, and build a much better comeback? It was, yes, a setback, but did you use it as a comeback? Or did you use it as a wall to shield you from the outside world? Let's do a personal reflection. And as we do, I want to throw this thought in your mind that the only thing worse than an external oppressor is an internal oppressor. Thank you, Lydia, for touching base on this. Usually, it is the voice in our heads that will tell us that you've embarrassed yourself enough. You think it was easy for me to go back the fourth time on the same field? And they're like, ooh, this woman knows how to drive. They're like, what are you doing here? You think it was easy for me? It wasn't. But it's that voice that says you've embarrassed yourself enough, you've thrown away too much money, this voice is worse than any other external oppressor that we shall ever have. So what are you telling yourself? Are you oppressing yourself? I will tell you something of how this voice worked very much against me. This is me. I'm in Tanzania. What do you say? I am really interested to see what you guys think of this picture on the left. Sorry. Yes, I wanted to read the comment section, but maybe someone can help me out. What do you think of this picture? From my angle, I can see they do we have any comments? Lydia can help me. From the body language, can we read anything? Your mic is not working, Lydia. All right, maybe
So you look, can you hear me now?
yes,
So
yes.
the comments I have: tensed up, you are not confident, shy and nervous, shame, fear, low self-esteem, nervous, tensed up,
Yep.
no confidence.
All
Yeah.
right, that is why
Shy,
you in the room.
nervous.
Perfect,
Shy.
perfect. Thank you very much, Lydia. It's like you guys were in the room with me. This was me a few years ago when I had to do my very first presentation addressing a multinational delegation, and I was way out of my comfort zone, and this was me. So this is the story of how I failed and I blundered. In Tanzania, I think Bahati will remember this picture because she was part of the people in the room. Speaking of imposter syndrome, I had prepared this presentation, but then when I stood on that stage, I was like, I'm too small. I'm too small. Now, that thought, remember something I just said about the internal oppressor? That thought made me forget any English, forget that I have a voice. So I was so nervous. And then I choked up on tears because I couldn't believe this is happening. We have a multinational delegation here. I have to do a presentation. I have an incredible team that I'm supposed to be representing. I'm coming from an incredible country. So the expectation is really high. And then I am nervous. I choke up. When that happened, I felt so disappointed in myself. I felt like a failure. I embraced that and I made failure now my clothing. And then it clicked. this is not the end. I have to breathe and I have to build. So I came back to Rwanda. This is a few months later. And I think, well, I won't wait because this is a much better picture. I am more relaxed, much more confident because I was going through classes. But allowing myself to, I wouldn't have known that I have you people, I like speaking. When someone is with me, they say, you have a lot of words. Now imagine a person with a lot of words tensing up in front of people. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't have known that there is that aspect of me that is so shy, that is so timid. If that picture on the left hadn't happened. So that pushed me to go and build, have a remedial plan and go through classes and all. And I'm becoming better, I hope. And after this, it clicked that maybe from this deepest pain that we be experiencing when we are making mistakes, maybe from this deepest pain, can we build our greatest ministries? Can we build our greater platforms where we stand tall? Where we can tell others that it can be done. Maybe when we accept and when we allow ourselves to feel this pain, can we build something much, much greater for ourselves? When we accept to break the limits, we also have to be ready to accept the pain that comes from the embarrassment mistakes. But then we have to remember that it doesn't end there because we can yet build a greater ministry. We can't speak about mistakes without mentioning Thomas Edison, someone who made the most mistakes, I think, in our lifetime, of 10,000 mistakes trying to figure out how a lamp works. But he is an inspirational figure. Or talk about Oprah, who was fired from TV because she was deemed unfit. Or talk about Walt Disney. We've all enjoyed the Walt Disney movie. Yet at a certain point, they were so bankrupt they had to close it off. Or talk about Miss Bishana Barbara, who lost 6 consecutive years trying to be Miss USA. This is the attitude of builders. You have to turn the setbacks into the comebacks. You have to know that it doesn't end here. You don't have to be crushed by the mistake that we made, paralyzed, or allow that the internal oppressor. We have to go past that. We have to push through so that we can be able to achieve this success. And how do we do that? We learn. The only thing worse than a mistake is when we don't learn from the mistake. How do we learn? We learn and evolve from analyzing root negatives. That's the acronym LEARN. I hope we can remember it. That's how we build from mistakes. This is a famous Indian proverb that says, making mistakes is our nature, acceptance of mistakes shows our culture, and correcting mistakes decides our stature. In other words, when making mistakes, it's human to err. Number two, when you have that psychological safety of, it's okay, Amanda, yes, you've spelled at this speech, and it's fine. No one is going to shoot you, it's fine. But then you don't have to stop there. When we decide to correct the mistakes, it will decide our state. It will decide how far we can go. When we decide to correct these mistakes, it will determine the level at which we can attain our potential. Now, this framework of learn is 3 main questions. What went wrong? What is the root cause? And what must I do to never make that mistake again? Very simple steps. I'll run through them. Again, using myself as the case in point. 1, acknowledge and make peace. I had to acknowledge that, yes, I actually blundered and I didn't present as I should have. And then I have to go back to ask myself the 5 whys. So real quick, why was I that nervous in that meeting? I wasn't well prepared. And then I have to go back because I need to know the root cause. And then I have to remediate the root cause. So I wasn't well prepared. Why I didn't plan well? Why didn't I plan well? I was navigating 2 very new jobs, which I was very inexperienced at, and I was going through a tough season emotionally with my family. And then why was that happening? 2 things. I was unexperienced and I was unmotivated to do really much because of the tough season I was going through. I have to categorize these 2 causes in 2 ways. 1, is it controllable? Is it uncontrollable? Controllable means there is a skill factor or a will factor. I was unexperienced in addressing multinational delegation. And then number 2, it's uncontrollable. I had to seek help, which I did, which has helped me. And now I have to go after it's a skill problem. What do I have to do? I have to take action, which is go under public speaking classes. Step number 5, implement what I've learned, because it's not about what good thing we hear, it's about action, which creates transformation, and which I hope we are going to do. Pick up one thing, implement it. That's where we're going to build from. That's the stepping stone. Step number 6, monitor. Is this working? If it's not working, then possibly we are correcting the wrong root cause. And step number 7, celebrate and repeat, because it's always about the bigger picture. It's about who we are becoming, not just about the mistake per se. But how about the irreversible mistakes? Some mistakes are irreversible. What do we do then? We need to forgive ourselves. We need to be quick to forgive ourselves. We need a strong support system. And most importantly, we need to remove ourselves from that entanglement and start preparing for tomorrow instead of repairing yesterday always. And in my case, I need to seek professional help for the turmoil I was going through. And I do now give debriefing programs for anyone who is in need. But these are some irreversible mistakes. Could be, maybe I got a child from this relationship. You cannot reverse the child. Maybe I am now going to jail because of this business partner. Maybe these are the hard things that are hard to deal with. But be quick to forgive yourself. Find a strong support system. Stop preparing yesterday and start preparing for tomorrow, and seek for professional help when it is needed. Now, quick question. Again, Lydia, I'm going to ask for your help on this. We all like a smooth life. We want a life where we are perfect, where there is no mistake, where there is no curve. That's ball A. And then there is ball B, which has the highs and lows. In these balls, which ball do you think is going to reach faster? There is one ball, it's a straight line, no obstacles, no nothing, no wahala. And then there is ball B, which has a lot of highs and lows. Which ball do you think will reach faster? Someone in the comments?
So far, I see B, A, 2 A's, B, ball A, A, A.
Right.
A,
For the sake of time, you can keep putting in your
A.
guess of either A or B. Now let the video decide.
Really?
I hope this changes our perspective on mistakes,
Wow.
because, and kudos to those who say bold B. You know, mistakes give us a positive edge in life when we learn from them. Those highs and lows, they are the fuel that propels us for growth. And thus we can reach further and faster. We can reach our destinations, we can attain our goals further, and we can go further and faster I don't know how it happens, but that's how it happens. You find people who are restricted in a certain, who are restricted in, who have put the limits. We can't go really far, but when you are taking risks, like I said, we only make mistakes when we are doing something. Now, when we break the limits, and when we break the limits and allow ourselves the luxury of making mistakes, counted mistakes, and we learn from them, we can reach our goals faster and much, much, much better. Now, my big question for you today will be, will yours be the next story of inspiration that will sharpen the next generation if you choose to build from your mistakes? By building the platform we talked about, that will allow you to stand tall, not just for yourself in this time and era, but for those who are going to come after you, remembering that when you make mistakes and learn from them, you reach your goals faster, and you go further. Thank you very much. Let's stay connected. I am Amanda.
Wow, 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 wow. Amazing. Can you join me to give Amanda from Rwanda a big hand clap for this amazing presentation? Amanda, thank you so much. This was amazing. Please join me to thank Amanda. Amanda, thank you so much. It's really been a great session. You know, she said, don't misuse your mistakes. Use them to build a platform. And tonight, as you go to sleep, I want you to start thinking about that mistake that is going to become a platform. Maybe you had an unplanned child. It was a mistake. Maybe you've made that mistake at your workplace. Maybe you've made a mistake in your marriage. Maybe you've made a mistake in your business. Whatever mistake it is, tonight, Amanda has reminded us that we don't need to hide behind these mistakes, but rather we should use these mistakes to build a platform. And I like the fact that she said that if we are going to break our limits, we need to be ready to make mistakes. So there is no breaking limits without making mistakes. So like our theme is break the limits. If we are ready to break the limits, then we need to make these mistakes. Someone says in the comment section, thank you, Amanda. Your presentation was mind-blowing. Thanks, Amanda, for the solutions. Yes, and for the reversible mistakes. Forgive yourself. Imagine you must be your best friend. You stay with yourself all the time. So thank you so much. If we have questions, continue asking us these questions. We shall answer them in the WhatsApp group, and some we shall continue to answer. Some we shall continue to answer even tomorrow, because tomorrow will be our second day. This conference is a 2-day event.